gay folks, atheists, trans folks, and basically like ethnic groups that aren't in power, at least historically, tend to be the ones that are either excluded from power or on the chopping block from an ethnic basis.
Wait, do you consider gay to be an ethnicity?
Yes. I'm kidding. No.
Okay.
I think it's,
Oh man.
The gay race.
Like, damn, he sounded smart up until now.
We were on the trade, and then now we just
listen. The gay race, okay.
But to respond to counterpoints real fast before we get off topic. So with like ethno-nationalism and all this, that's not something that can exist in America, right? Like we have to understand that this is a multiracial, multi-regional, multi-religious country, and we have to make that work to the best of our ability. So that
I reject the multi-religional.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question? Because like as far as like distant right thinkers or whatever, I whenever somebody says like, hey, there's a smart motherfucker who knows this history and like all that kind of shit, and you know basically he's got his shit together, like, you know, obviously you've been impugned morally, but your name is often dropped, right? Mm-hmm. So my question while I have you is there's a concept of like ethnos, right? Or like the people, or like all that kind of stuff. And sometimes people like very hard definitionally will say like, oh, like the ethnos is the character of the country, and it's and by the way, I'm trying to understand. So if I butcher this, just let me know. But it's kind of like the cultural expression, the religion, the language, like all that kind of stuff. And it happens in a certain time and place, and it evolves over time and all that kind of bullshit. And what was interesting to hear or to conceptualize is America, or the United States of America in particular, has a colonial past. We have Native Americans, we have blacks, or, you know, people who were brought over as slaves. We have, you know, kind of this like multiracial, multi-ethnic, multilinguistic thing that we are pushing towards. But obviously, like Anglo society dominates in a lot of ways. English dominates as a language. So is this, so do we have an ethnos, or are we like a divided, fractured, schizophrenic anti-culture?
I view us like, as like the Ottoman Empire and the Roman Empire. Like we're not an ethnos for that reason. So if you go to Germany, if you go to Switzerland, there's an ethnos there. There's something that stemmed from a people that's been there for quite a time, and they made poetry, art, laws, culture, food, everything else that came from it. This was their natural expression. Us, becoming white was a legal thing at the end of the day. Like to be white was to have all the legal representation that the Constitution gave you. Remember when we first made the Constitution, most white men couldn't even vote because they didn't have enough property. So it's like the goal was always becoming this legal thing of white. So personally, I would say if we ever had like an ethnos or an American culture that was organic and original, it was gone like through the Civil War. And the remnants of that was the Wild West. And then once that was gone, it's like that we went to this new thing now. Now we're just largely like purchase our culture now.
So
it's like commodified.
Yeah. So follow-up question. Would you view like the original ethnos of like American society as like Anglo-colonial? Like would that have been like the original thing?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't even say colonial. I would say Anglo, but also there was this escaping from Europe from persecution, right? And then through religious, and then that kind of turned into persecution from the king. So there was always this kind of rebellious, there's always kind of this rebellious, and which kind of led to Manifest Destiny, to going conquering, you know, the untamed West and all of that. There was always kind of this rebellious thing, and that was part of the culture, the original culture of this country. That's definitely long dormant now, but I would say that was one of the most fundamental parts of what was like organically American, was that Manifest Destiny thing that made people take that risk. Remember how dangerous that was to cross the new world back in those days.
It's a good way to die. Very good way to die.
Very easy way to die. Yeah.
What are you guys talking about? I thought those ships had 100% survival rate across it.
They're just one rat away from death, man.
So I know I know like fucking social justice warrior, whatever, cringe, like identity politics or whatever. But just to show how, like, why when people attack like the civic identity of the United States, the reason why it offends me personally, is because I'm Irish. I'm ethnically Irish, right?
Oh my!
I speak
first slaves of America, to be honest. Yeah,
I'm sorry,
but I speak English. I might be a little bit more grateful for the intrigues or political power plays of the United States of America, but it's because I have a good life. My parents raised me; they're still together. You know, they're Christian conservative. I'm, you know, I don't know, culturally Christian, whatever. And so I see how the system has worked. I see the way that it was set up. I see the way that my parents participated in it, and I'm grateful for what I have. And so the reason why I get incredibly butthurt about like Chris Nats or Ethnos or whatever, basically attacking the concept of civic nationalism is because for me, it's like, it's the only tie I have to this country. If I don't have some kind of like English Enlightenment philosophical principled tie to the country, I got fucking nothing. And realistically, I should be fighting Angloids because they're the fucking people who came after my people, right? So like you're kind of opening this box of like inter-ethnic, intercultural conflict when you attack the civic structure of the country. And then Sansa, I'm sure you'll want to reply to this. That's why I get frustrated with leftists who say you don't need a civic or philosophical foundation to the country for people to coexist. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck, like, how the fuck are you even like a part of my country if we have no principles or no ideals that bind us?
Yeah,
and that's part of the reason why I defend those things.
You want to explain that, Sansa?
Sure. Like I was gonna say, like, what things do you put above? Like, what is the hierarchy of those things? Like, I agree. Like, there has to be like some like things that tie a community together. I don't disagree with that, right? But it can be, these things can be around anything. Why does it have to be around either ethnicity or around, like, I think the civic thing is more defensible than like race or religion or something like that. But like, what is the hierarchy of these things for you? Like, what do you put above others?
Yeah, I'm gonna commit cringe in right-wing spaces. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like America is a liberal or libertarian project with some very foundational philosophical bedrocks in order for people of different ethnicities and different languages and different cultures and different religions to coexist peacefully. And so I kind of boiled that down because I think the Bill of Rights is, probably the main way in which this is philosophically founded. And so I would say it's the freedom of conscience, right? As enshrined in the First Amendment. It's the right to self-defense, even up to and against the country that founded you. That's enshrined in the Revolution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Second Amendment. And then it's also primarily in the Fourth Amendment, but it's seen in all the other amendments, which is basically what I would say is like limited government. Not limited government in the libertarian sense, where I think you just need to cut everything down. And sorry, I can't pay attention to chat or I'll lose my fucking mind. So not a libertarian sense where you got to cut everything down and small government and all that kind of bullshit, but a government that obeys the rule of law and follows its own laws as it sets forth. And so the reason why you need those things is because if you're going to have, as kind of CT and I were talking about, people from different ethnoses, people with different languages, people with different religions and all that kind of stuff, they need that foundational structure, specifically like with the right to conscience, to respect somebody else's philosophical difference. If you don't have that, they're going to attack each other. The right to self-defense, because people have different perspectives, they're going to attack each other. People, when they attack each other, they have a right to defend themselves. And if the government becomes authoritarian, they have the right to destroy that as well. And then when it comes to limited government, it's because that's one of the foundational things of like all republics that destroy it, is when there's a whole series of rules that are respected for a few hundred years, and then we start disobeying those rules. Once you start saying that the law doesn't mean anything, then literally it's just words on fucking paper.
Sure.
So at that point, it just becomes a struggle between factional groups over who has the most power.
Yeah,
it seems like you're looking for glue counterpoints. Go, Sansa.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with what you're saying right there. Like, it seems like whenever I hear people that are like much further right than me, right? Like, in my beliefs have
turn your mic down just a little bit, Sansa. You're hurting my face.
Sorry, I had it turned up because wisdom teeth. I had to keep my mouth largely closed because I didn't want to rip the holes in my face open.
Even with your wisdom teeth out, you still can't shut your mouth. But anyway,
I can't.
All you got to do though is just turn it down just a little bit. You're good.
Yeah. So yeah, what I was going to say was that I lost my train of thought. When my beliefs have moderated to a certain degree over the course of me streaming and talking to people from other perspectives, right? I was in a huge lefty echo chamber before. And so before I was like, who fucking cares about the country? Who fucking cares, right? And I don't like have any specific allegiance, or not allegiance. I don't care so much for like the label United States of America, but like the way that I interact with the rest of society, the way that I interact with my friends and my family, this is like a broader cultural and like political umbrella that we all kind of fall under. And I can agree that if we don't have this like social contract, this glue, the social contract that Counterpoints is kind of alluding to, then yeah, we kind of do devolve into anarchism, and that's fucking cringe as shit. Yeah.
So are you saying glue for like ivermectin or some shit? What the fuck?
No, it's one of the ways that I phrase basically cultural cohesion. Right. I think that culture is very important, and so I always look for some type of glue fabric. So whenever I reference it on the program, I say the word glue, and people kind of understand what I'm referencing as far as cultural cohesion goes.
Well,
but it looked like it sounded like
that.
Well, hang on just a second, Counterpoints, because it sounded like CT wanted to respond there.
Yeah, social contract is not enough. That's why I'm not a civic nationalist. I'm a cultural nationalist. Right? To me, it's a difference. You can't make a set of laws and make people actually view themselves as brothers or cousins and unified because there's a set of laws this country was built upon. That's kind of the thing, what they call the magic dirt. As soon as you come to America, you accept the Constitution, you're American. Not really. That's not how it's been working. So I think there needs to be something more. I think shared destiny is probably the strongest glue we can build upon in this country. If we all have a shared destiny, we'll all be working towards that. But I think you need a lot more than laws to bind people. And of course, I'm going to argue the state does that through the power of the state, creates that monoculture where all these smaller multiculturals can exist under it as long as they're under that big tent of the monoculture.
But what is the monoculture that you would promote? Like what monoculture?
Like I said, our shared destiny. Our shared destiny is our monoculture, America. That's what binds us. We all have, despite being black, white, Catholic, atheist, from the South, from the North, we all are interconnected and have a shared destiny in this country. If one community is doing bad, back to the corporatism model. If the spleen is doing bad, we focus on the spleen and fix the spleen. So we want the body to work. It's a full body. So that's like our shit. That's our monoculture right there. It's not a certain this and that. It's our unified destiny with each other and realizing that, manifesting that, having everyone believe in it and buy into it. So they can be a part of. We don't have gangs, crimes, and at least not at the levels we do now, because people are actually invested in a country that they get back from. I think that's how that's that monoculture. Underneath that, let people be people.
Yeah, Sansol, before you interject, I have a couple of questions that I want to ask. CT. So I think the reason why people get freaked out around like ethnonats or whatever is because of that like exclusionary rule, right? And then also like when it comes to like history of like slaughter and gay folks and all that kind of stuff and atheists and all that kind of stuff, like gay folks, atheists, trans folks, and basically like ethnic groups that aren't in power, at least historically, tend to be the ones that are either excluded from power or on the chopping block from an ethnic basis.
Wait, do you consider gay to be an ethnicity?
Yes. I'm kidding. No.
Okay.
I think it's,
okay.
Man.
Yeah. The gay race.
Like, damn, he sounded smart up until now.
We were on the train, and then now we just
listen. The gay race. Okay. So the point being, I think the reason why progressives are so like reflexively like anti communitarian, anti corporatist, anti right wing in a lot of these ways. Is because of the history of abuse and the history of hierarchy when it comes to fascist or monarchies or whatever. And then all of that to say, I already got an awesome concession out of Sansol over here that basically we need some kind of glue. And then for CT, I think where we agree, but have the potential to disagree, is that school is an excellent time to come up with whatever civic virtues or shared culture is going to be promoted to young people. That way they view each other as a collective, body, that they're worthy. They should care about their neighbor, regardless of like race or whatever.
Caring about neighbors.
What book?
A question.
In a different language.
Question.
I honestly think we're saying the same thing.
So question to, they make me laugh so much. All right. So
they're cracking hard.
So
like,
BPF,
I'm holding my cheeks like this so that I don't fucking open all the fucking holes. Fuck.
Yeah. So BPF, to get to my question, do you view, because I don't, do you view Christianity as the glue that's necessary to maintain America or to make America healthy again or something? Muted.
With the most obvious
I'll stick with him now.
coming
Well,
up.
of course, yes, I do. But what I think needs to happen is for everyone in this room to convert. No.
The question was for me. So the answer would be categorically yes in the United States, but I'm going to caveat that because my position on it is that religion in general is the only thing I've seen as something that can actually act as cultural glue. I've never seen anything else that can take its place ever. I've just never seen it, not anywhere in history, pretty much ever, for any reason.
And if I could chime in for a second, counterpoints.
Rome had gods, you know.
No, but they allowed other people to have their gods, just like the Ottomans did. It's like they didn't force everyone.
Well, no, they did kind of. Yeah, I mean, so the Greeks kind of had their gods, and then the Romans renamed the Greek gods, and almost everybody was polytheistic. Mm-hmm. And it was a heavily religious society. I've just never seen. I'm not saying that there can't be. So me and CT have gone back and forth on this. I'm not saying that there can't be something else that can act as glue. I'm just saying that I can't indicate what it is unless it's a codified system. So an example of this might be like chivalry or Bushido or something like this. I think that maybe a code might work. Well, I mean, I'm serious. It did work. I've just never seen anything besides religion and maybe a couple of, systems of codes that have actually worked as a cultural unifying glue. I haven't.